Hello, I'm Thomas at Art and Lit Matters. I want to announce that this August, a fabulous group of booktubers is joining me, Angelia at Read and Reread, and Roy and Dr. Jennie at Roy Reads Anything to do a deep dive into the fascinating, sometimes darkly disturbing, and frequently stunningly beautiful poetry of Thomas Stearns Eliot. T.S. Eliot is a writer who had such a profound influence on modern culture that you don't even have to have consciously read a word that he wrote to already have something of Eliot inside of you. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels. Or April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. Or I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. Or even McCafferty. There's no one like McCafferty. There's never been a cat of such deceitful suavity. For T.S. Eliot furnished the libretto and the inspiration for the Broadway blockbuster musical Cats. He is everywhere in our culture. And Eliot had such a wonderful ear for the sound sense of poetry, and the walls of Magnus Martyr hold inexplicable splendor of Ionian white and gold. The river sweats oil and tar, the barges drift with the drifting tide, red sails wide to leeward swing on the heavy spar. The barges drift, drifting logs down Greenwich Reach past the Isle of Dogs. Why-ah, lie-ah, lie-ah. When Eliot's poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, appeared in Harriet Monroe's Poetry magazine in the June 1915 issue, poetry would never be the same. Poet Ezra Pound explained, Eliot's modernized himself on his own. Eliot had caught the first wave of the modernist revolt just 2 years before. There was the Armory Show in New York, which introduced Americans to abstract art and expressionist art and cubism. And the same year, there was a performance of Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, which shocked audiences with its atonalities and strange new rhythms of birth and death. And with Prufrock, Eliot turned aside from poetry's usual subjects of extraordinary events or heroic action or the worlds of gods and goddesses, and instead took us into the inward intricacies of the human psyche and soul in a time of modern upheaval, and did it in a way that poetry would never after be quite the same. After Prufrock, we will spend 2 weeks exploring what is perhaps the greatest poem of the 20th century, T.S. Eliot's 1922 epochal The Wasteland, which when it first appeared in the pages of the Dial and Eliot's own journal, The Criterion, baffled its first readers, who nevertheless had a sense amidst the fragments of some uncanny power lurking beneath the lines. I was lucky in that my first experience of The Wasteland wasn't reading the poem at all. It was hearing a recording of Eliot reading the poem, and I fell in love with the sound of the poem and with the strange power of images in it long before I began to understand the poem. And then as a student and in grad school, as I began to explore the poem in detail, it came alive in a whole different way. A great clue to understanding The Wasteland is that the original title wasn't The Wasteland at all. It was He Do, the Police in Different Voices, which Eliot had taken from our mutual friend. And indeed, it is a poem that is a pastiche of different voices from past literature and from culture and pop culture. But what you begin to understand is that at the same time, it is a deeply personal and deeply moving poem. So we're going to spend 2 weeks exploring its wonders. And then we will turn to the 4 quartets, which in my view is the greatest spiritual meditation of modern times. That's just my position, but I'm very much looking forward to exploring the four quartets as a group. Our reading event, T.S. Eliot in August, will do our best to bring the life and works of T.S. Eliot very much alive. You'll find below a link to all the participants and a playlist of T.S. Eliot videos, which will be growing dramatically over the course of the month. Thank you for listening.